until the presentation is over.
And remember to put your chairs away before you leave.
With a Bachelor of Kinesiology from the University of Calgary and a personal training certification through the Canadian Society for Exercise Physiology, as well as a training medical exercise specialist, Charmaine offers you considerable knowledge of the human body, leading a safe, effective conditioning rehabilitative program, helping you regain full function after an injury or degeneration.
Charmaine was a former national team athlete for Canada in half-pipe snowboarding and was on the track to be 2010 Winter Olympics until a severe spinal cord injury crushed her Olympic dream. She took passion for a sport and translated it into a passion for fitness, and the rest is history.
So, please welcome Charmaine Ironside.
Well, thank you very much for the introduction, Nana and Emma. So thank you also for all coming. This is so awesome. I know you guys could be outside enjoying the weather, so I hope you'll get a lot out of it. No? You forced here? Okay, well, I'm glad you're here. So yeah, great introduction, not much else to say there. So I just wanted to tell you a bit about my story, how I got into finding a passion for sport, and then how I got into finding a passion for my career. So, I grew up in Calgary, pretty active. I always loved individual sports, so horseback riding, swimming, running. Anyone else love individual sports? Yeah? Yeah, I mean, I played soccer, but I think I just played soccer because my parents said I should and my friends were, but I always kind of liked doing things on my own. So I never had a real passion for any of those things, but I loved being outside. So when I was about 13, anyone 13 here? Yeah, is that grade 9? 8? So we went on a ski trip in grade 8, and we learned how to snowboard. We could choose whether we wanted to ski or snowboard. Anyone snowboard? Have you tried snowboarding? Yeah, a few people? Awesome. So for me, that was the first time I really felt passionate about something. And passion, the definition is just it's an intense desire or enthusiasm for something. So anyone have a passion for something that you can say you have right now? Oh, that's awesome. So if not, at the end we're going to talk about ways of finding what your passion is. So I love to snowboard. Every chance I could, I'd get out to the hill. And I was 18 years old when I went to my first competition. So I was actually there just to watch my brother. He's my younger brother. I just went to watch him and support him. And I kind of was watching and I thought, hey, I think I could try this. And something in me liked the competitive side. So it was in Edmonton at Rabbit Hill, a small mountain, and I think I came 27th out of 30 girls, but I loved it and I decided that day that that was my passion, that's what I wanted to pursue. So I joined a team at COP in Calgary, and I set some pretty specific goals, and within about 2 years I was on the Canadian development team. So that just means that's the step before the national team when you can work towards being at the Olympics. So I got to travel the world. I went to New Zealand, Australia, Japan, Korea, Switzerland, lots of different places to snowboard. And within another 2 years, I was on the national team. So definitely it took a lot of hard work and goal setting, and I went through quite a few ups and downs. So I broke my arm. I've got a huge scar on my arm. Had a couple different surgeries on my arm. I tore my knee, so my ACL. Has anyone ever had a big injury like that? Some people, not too many. So I found one thing that really helped me in my life is when something that seems bad happens, always finding a way to make it a positive. So of course it's not that fun to break your arm, but when I couldn't snowboard because my arm was broken, I worked on the mental side of snowboarding. So I would visualize my half-pipe run, and I worked on my fitness, so I was still able to walk and run, so I worked on some other aspects. Same with when I tore my knee, I just was able to also work on the mental side, so I didn't let it really slow me down. So, it was February 2009, 1 year before the Olympics, This article actually came out on February 1st, 2009, and I was ranked 2nd in Canada. So 4 women would go to the Olympics in Vancouver. Did anyone watch those Olympics? Yeah, awesome. So 4 people would get to go, and because I was ranked 2nd in Canada, as long as I kept progressing it that same way, I would be going to the Olympics. So it was that same day that this article came out. I was at Mount Norquay. Anyone skied there before? Nice. So I was practicing for a competition the next day. I was just going off the jumps, and I went in for lunch, came back out, and I decided that I wanted to go faster and I wanted to go higher in the air, because that's a way that you can make your tricks look better. So I was actually off a jump. I took 1 speed check out of the jump so that I could go faster and go bigger. And on the way up the jump, something just went really wrong with my takeoff. So it was pretty scary. I knew something was wrong, but I didn't have enough time to stop myself. So I went off the lip of the jump, my feet came out from under me, and I just flew through the air with my feet above my head, and I couldn't get control. I landed very hard at the bottom of the jump without much landing left, right onto my tailbone. So the pressure from the fall went up my spine. I remember the feeling of the impact and just knowing that no one's spine is supposed to take that kind of force. I just lay there at the bottom of the jump, and I remember the first thing I did was, my worst fear was to be paralyzed, so I tried to move my fingers, and I thanked God that I was able to move my hands. And then I slowly went down my body and went to move my feet and my legs, and I couldn't move my legs. So that was basically my worst fear. Of course, I was a snowboarder. Snowboarding was my passion, but I also love to walk and run and have a full life. So that was a very scary moment for me. I remember just tears streaming down my face inside of my goggles, just praying that I wasn't going to be paralyzed. So I was taken to Banff in an ambulance, and as soon as they saw me in Banff, they said, "You need to go to Calgary." So I took the ambulance to Calgary. And a lot of it's a blur because I had so much pain in my legs that I was on a lot of different pain medications. But one thing that sticks out for me was I remember at the hospital after all the scans were done, I saw my dad, and he had tears in his eyes, and I guess I didn't know this at the time, but the doctor had just told him that I might never walk again and that I needed to go in for emergency surgery. So I had burst my T12 vertebrae, which is a vertebrae right in the middle of your back, into hundreds of pieces. So they were protruding into my spinal cord, which was very dangerous because luckily my spinal cord wasn't severed, but there were so many pieces in the spinal cord that if I moved or did something, I could basically paralyze myself. So I went in for emergency surgery. 9 hours later, I came out. I had a cage around that vertebrae. And they had been able to pull as much of the spinal shards out of my out of my spinal cord, and basically build a cage around it. So I spent about a month in the Foothills Hospital. I've got a scar about like this big on my back. I had to relearn how to walk, so I had a cane, and within about a week of physio, I was able to start walking around the unit. And I always had my little goals for the day, and they'd say 1 time around the unit, but I would go twice, and just always trying to challenge myself to really, I knew I wanted to get better. The doctor said snowboarding was basically out of the question. I should just be thankful that I was walking, which I was thankful that I was walking, but maybe some of you who are athletes might identify, but when you're an athlete, most people can't tell you not to do what you love to do. Does anyone agree? A little bit, even if it's not super responsible. So, never give up. I relearned how to walk. I had to relearn how to use my bladder, and I had to relearn how to poop, excuse my language, but everything with my lower body I had to relearn. So, I always loved this spot. I don't know if anyone recognizes it. It's down by Eau Claire, and I love the quote. It's basically talking about life, and the most important thing in the Olympic Games is not to win, but to take part. Just as the most important thing in life is not the triumph, but the struggle. So I really, even today when I go there, I just get shivers because I know that even though I wasn't able to do everything I wanted to in my sport, I was still learned so much throughout the struggles that I went through, and I decided to make them, instead of being a victim, be a survivor and thrive from what I learned. So it was 2 months before the Olympics. I got back on snow after 6 months. So against a lot of people's wishes, I was snowboarding again. I went out to Whistler that summer. I went to New Zealand to practice. And it was 2 months before the Olympics. I was now ranked 5th in Canada. So at that rate, I wasn't going to be going to the Olympics. So I knew in my heart that I had to try. I knew I wanted to go to the Olympics. I couldn't give up on it. Even though I had a lot of problems with my lower body, I still really wanted to try. So I went out to the last chance to qualify, which was in Colorado. If I was able to get a high enough ranking, I would be able to still go to the Olympics for Canada. So it was one day before the competition, and I was practicing in the half pipe, and I ended up falling again. And I ended up breaking my tailbone. So it was a similar way of falling, definitely not as much impact, but it was enough to break my tailbone. So for me, that was really the time when I had to look at my life and decide, is it worth it? And for me, I knew I wanted to have a career other than snowboarding, as fun as it was, and I wanted to have a family one day. So that was the day for me that I decided that I wasn't going to quit snowboarding altogether, but I wasn't going to compete anymore. So I went and talked to my coach, and I said, I'm done for now. And it was a tough decision and a tough day, but there was a lot of positive things. Because the Olympics were in Vancouver, in Canada, I was able to be what's called an alternate, or a forerunner. So I still got to go to the Olympics. I got the bib, I got the credentials, I got to ride the Olympic halfpipe with all my friends, which was a pretty cool ending to a career that was a lot of fun. It was still a little sad, obviously, but I was lucky to be able to have that experience. So now, life after snowboarding. So I finished the Olympics, that was really fun, and I came home, and of course I was maybe a little bit lost because I'd been a competitive snowboarder for over 5 years, and that was all I really wanted and all I really knew. But luckily, I had pursued my kinesiology degree throughout my snowboarding career, so I would take every winter off of school, and I would compete in the winter, and I would go to school in the fall and the spring and the summer. So I finished my kinesiology degree. I worked really hard on my fitness because if I let my fitness go downhill, my back would start to be in a lot of pain. I actually, 2 months after the Olympics, basically at the same time I met my future husband, so we're now married and expecting a baby, so that's exciting. And we started Ironside Fitness. So I started as a personal trainer after I retired from snowboarding, and I just loved helping people with injuries. I loved helping people become fitter and healthier. Does anybody here enjoy fitness? Yeah? So yeah, we try to make it as fun as we can with Ironside Fitness, and so I worked one-on-one with people, helping them get more healthy and fit and helping them with their injuries. And then I developed, kind of over the next couple of years, I decided that I had an entrepreneurial spirit. So I didn't only want to work for somebody. I was working for someone in a big gym. I had a boss, and I had to follow the exact rules, and maybe they weren't exactly how I believed it should be done. So I decided that I was going to start my own business. So I started working with one-on-one clients, but I rented a space, and that was 2 years ago. I set some goals. I knew one day I wanted to have my own studio. So this is just our first studio in the picture on the right. So 1 year ago today, we opened that. And when I say we, my husband actually ended up quitting his engineering job of 8 years and helping me start the business. So now we work together, and it's lots of fun. And then in June we opened our second location. So we've got 2 locations, and I literally wake up every day at 4 in the morning. Part of this was to put the day in the life. So I get up at 4 Monday to Friday. I always meditate every morning, and I find that really helps set the tone for my whole day. And yeah, by about 5 or 5:30, I'm at the studio, and this is just kind of how I spend my day. And I love it. I love talking with clients, working on work. I plan the workouts. I'm actually not training one-on-one or in as much anymore, so I'm more managing the other coaches and trainers. And then every afternoon I try to have a couple hours where I do personal development time. So I found that so important for me. So I choose something I want to read about or think about. Yeah, and then guilt-free downtime. Some of you, can you say you're a type A personality? Does anyone know what that is? So I've always been very goal-oriented my whole life, and if I wasn't doing something productive, well, that I thought was productive or checking something off my to-do list, I didn't feel like I was doing the right thing. But now I realize that I need some time to just do whatever I want and not feel guilty about it, so I call it guilt-free downtime. Yeah, and I don't have much of a social life because I go to bed around 8 every night. So anyway, so I do really enjoy what I do. I'm lucky and I feel very grateful that I can wake up at 4 in the morning and with a smile on my face that I'm going to do exactly what I feel like I'm supposed to be doing. So following your passion, I just want you guys to close your eyes if you feel comfortable closing your eyes. I just want you to take a couple deep breaths to just try to get in the moment. So in through your nose, out through your mouth. Try to imagine you're inhaling positive thoughts. So inhale positive thoughts, and then exhale anything that's causing you stress. So take big, nice, deep breaths in through your nose. Inhale positive things like joy, peace, love, things you're grateful for. And then exhale anything that's causing you anxiety or that's keeping you from living your happiest life. So let's just do 2 more breaths like that. In through the nose. You can loudly exhale. Awesome, and 1 more deep breath. Awesome. So that's something I like to do. That's like a small form of meditation. You could do that for 5 minutes and it would make a huge difference to just calm you and set the tone for your day. So a couple questions to help you find your passion. What activities give you energy and bring you joy? So just take a couple moments to think about that. So for me, it's always been being in nature. I always loved teaching people new things. Cooking is a big passion of mine, and eventually I'd love to start a food business, but that's a little ways off. So yeah, just think about something that really brings you energy and gives you joy. Can everyone think of something? Yeah. So another question to help you find your passion. Can you think of a time that you became so absorbed in something that you lost track of time? Yeah, what kind of things? Reading. Swimming, awesome. Reading, math? Anybody else? Yeah. Baking, awesome. What? Yeah. Just at home, being at home? Dancing? Nice. What was yours? Badminton, awesome. Oh, you love badminton as well, cool. So I really believe there's a lot of ways to turn what you enjoy doing and what you lose track time doing into a profession. So another question to help you find your passion, what topics would you read about if you weren't assigned them at school? So just things you love to read about. So for me, I love to read about wellness. I love to read about how businesses work and how to grow a business. I love to read about nutrition, things like that. So can anyone, does anyone have any?
Curling.
Oh, you like to read about sports? Cool. Anyone else? Yeah? Gymnastics. Oh, we got lots of active people in here. Yep. Yeah. Oh, cool. Action books? Cookbooks. Oh, awesome. We'll do one more. Anthropology. Wow, awesome. So, I like this quote. Don't worry about what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and do that. Because what the world needs is more people who have come alive. So I think a lot of people, and a lot of my friends definitely, have put a lot of limits on themselves. They think they have to do something that's very rational and maybe, I mean, at first when I started my fitness business, most people just thought I was going to fail at it and I would end up, you know, finishing doing something else, but I worked hard and I put my mind to it, I set goals and I believed in myself. So you don't have to necessarily do what you think you should do or what people tell you to do. You really want, life is long and I really believe that you should love what you do every day. And you're going to be a whole lot better at it and more successful at it if you have a passion for it. So a couple recommendations just to help find your passion and stay focused. Take time, I mean maybe it's once a week or maybe it's more often, but just to reflect on what you like and what you're doing and set some goals. I found it was really useful throughout my youth to gain experience by shadowing professionals. So even in high school, I was shadowing chiropractors and physical therapists and trainers, coaches, different things like that, just to learn about what they did. And there's so many people that do things differently, right? One physical therapist can be way different than another one. So professionals are usually pretty happy to have eager people shadow them. Just gaining work or volunteer experience in lots of areas. If you don't know what you want to do, sometimes you just have to try lots of different things. Setting goals and definitely avoiding putting limits on yourself. So really, the world is your oyster. You can do anything you put your mind to, and I really believe that because I've seen it in my own life, thinking positive thoughts and setting goals, and you really can achieve. And the last one is just positive self-talk. So you're awesome, you can do anything, and if you keep telling yourself that, eventually you'll develop it and you'll believe it. So, yeah, just remembering life is long, you really can and deserve to love what you do. So that's kind of it for my presentation. So I'd love to answer any questions that you have.